all, I'd like to say hello to all of my many friends, also to my many enemies. Once again, this is another episode of Roosevelt Sounds Off. And on tonight, this morning, this afternoon, whenever you happen to be watching this video, I meant to come to you with this story yesterday, only I was kind of tired and tied up with things going on in my own life in order to bring you this. But I definitely had to bring you this story about the so-called man or resident, not president now, but resident of the White House, Donald Trump, also known as Donald Dump by a whole lot of other people, about his disrespect of the widow who had lost her husband after his unit was ambushed in the area of Niger. I'm talking about Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, who, according to American standards, then this is how come I always say that in this country, as long as you are black, we might as well all be gangsters and thugs and do all the other kind of wrong things, because as soon as you do something and do everything that's right, then everybody still wants to disrespect you. So it doesn't matter who or what it is that you do, you're always going to fall into that. So sometimes trying to do the right thing and according to what America says that you should be doing, who says that that is right, first of all? And it just about doesn't pay to do the right thing. And no, hard work in this country and doing the right thing does not pay off, because you wind up just like this sergeant right here, Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, where they said that he did all the right things, that he stayed in school, that he, tried to make good grades, and that he, got older, and that he got married, and had children, and that he got into the army because he wanted to fight and serve his country. And, the country that he, wants to fight for, the country that he loved and everything, it ends up dying, making the ultimate sacrifice for this so-called America. But yet, when his wife is on the phone with the resident of the White House, she gets totally and completely, utterly disrespected by this man, this low-down man, this evil man, this wicked man. Some of you all want to call the president of the so-called United States. The next thing I'm going to play for you is a couple of clips coming from CNN, and this falls under the category of fair use. And it's an interview with Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, who's the Congresswoman of Florida, and what she witnessed and what she saw, even though the resident of the White House wants to call her a liar. It says that she didn't hear what he had really said, or that she has taken his comments out of context, or she is trying to politicize this whole thing. I'm going to play for you these two clips of these two interviews. These clips are kind of long, so just bear with me. This is courtesy of CNN, and this falls under fair use. So sit right there. I'm going to come to you with these news clips, and then I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary on what I think about this whole issue and what I think on the behavior of the resident of the White House, known as Donald Trump, aka Donald Dump, or DT, as I want to call him. Stay tuned for the clip.
We have some breaking news to report to you right now. President Trump finally calling the families of troops who lost their lives in the Niger raid and telling the widow of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson, quote, he knew what he signed up for. I want to bring in now Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. She spoke to Sergeant Johnson's widow tonight, and she joins us on the phone. Thank you, Representative, for joining us. You spoke to the widow of LaDavid Johnson, Sergeant LaDavid Johnson. Her name is Maisha. How is she doing tonight?
Oh, she's very distraught, and we were in the car together in the limousine headed to meet the body at the airport. So I heard what he said because the phone was on speaker.
What did he say?
Well, basically, he said, well, I guess he knew what he signed up for, but I guess it still hurts. That's what he said.
The president said to her he knew what he signed up for.
He knew what he was signing up for.
But when it happens, it hurts anyway.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if this is a young woman who has 2 children, who is 6 months pregnant with a 3rd child. She has just lost her husband. She was just told that he cannot have an open casket funeral, which gives her all kinds of nightmares, how his body must look, how his face must look. And this is what the President of the United States says to her?
And Representative, as we're speaking now, we're looking at the video of her meeting the coffin there. As you said, she's expecting her 3rd baby in January. She's leaning over that coffin with a flag draped over his casket. You could see she was shaking there as she sobbed uncontrollably. She has a 2-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. But continue on. What were you saying?
And he had just told her that, just as she was about to do what you just saw. There's no reason for the president to be so insensitive, not only to the family of this soldier, but the impervious rhetoric is, it's disrespectful to the family of every soldier that has paid the ultimate price for our freedom. And our community is livid because this was our hero. We don't have many heroes in our young men in Miami-Dade County, but he was a hero for us. And we don't like what was said. And that is not something that you say to a grieving wife.
What was your reaction, Representative?
I asked them to give me the phone because I wanted to speak with him, and I was going to curse him out. That was my reaction at that time. I was livid, but they would not give me the phone.
What did she say?
She was just crying. She couldn't say anything. The only thing she said when it was time to hang up was, "Thank you. Goodbye."
And were there other family members in the car with you? Or there with you?
Yes, there were other family members in the car crying.
What was their reaction?
They were all crying. They were all crying. It was a solemn cry because they were still upset about the fact that this cannot be an open casket. They were upset because they don't know why he was separated from the rest of the soldiers. This could turn out to be another Benghazi, and I have asked for an investigation. Representative Hastings of Fort Lauderdale and I sent a letter, and we want to find out exactly what happened. And I'm expecting a classified briefing when I return to Washington to answer some of those mitigating questions that I can't answer on my own.
Representative Wilson, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please give our thoughts and condolences to the family. I want to bring in Dana Bash. Dana, there's a response from the White House?
Yes, Don, and I'll read it to you right now. The response from the White House is basically that the president, here I have it in front of me now, the president's conversations with the families of American heroes who have made the ultimate sacrifice are private. So that's a very long way of saying no comment.
Hey, now, we were just talking about that shocking phone call from the new guy to a fallen soldier's widow. And joining us live right now is the Florida Congresswoman who witnessed the call. Please welcome Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. Hey. Congresswoman, so you were you say you were in the car. The new guy in the office says he has proof of what he says. Can you tell us what you heard?
Well, I heard him say, well, you know, this is what he signed. I'm sure he knows that this is what he signed up for, but it still hurts. And the saddest part of this, he kept referring to LaDavid as your guy. He never called his name. It was almost as if he forgot his name. And that's what hurt the mother so badly, the wife. She said he doesn't even know his name.
Yeah.
Congressman, do you think President Trump was aware you were in the car at that moment listening to the call?
Well, I think that President Trump was aware that we were on the way to retrieve the body from the airport to bring it back to the funeral home. So I'm sure he knew that I was not the only person in the car. It was a limousine, so I'm not the only person who heard the conversation.
And the call was on speakerphone.
And she was crumpled up in a ball. She weighs maybe 103 pounds. She's 6 months pregnant. She had just found out that her husband would not be able to have an open casket funeral because of the condition of the body, so she was grief-stricken. And in the car was her aunt and uncle who raised LaDavid, my driver, the gentleman from the Army, and the driver of the limousine. So the gentleman from the Army held the phone so that she could speak. And we all knew that. We knew that he was going to call. And then I said, I want to speak with him. Let me speak with him. And they said, no, you can't speak with him. So they said, well, why did you want to speak with him? I said, because I wanted to curse him out.
Congresswoman, Mrs. Johnson, as you mentioned, is 6 months pregnant with her third child. And according to you, President Trump not only said this is what her husband signed up for, but not once did he call her husband a hero. What was her response when she heard what the president said?
Oh, it didn't say.
She simply said, this was all she said. I'm going to tell you exactly. She said he was calling him my guy. He didn't even know his name. That's what she said. And that was all she said.
Congresswoman, President Trump said this morning that he actually has proof of what was actually said. Now, I'm listening to what you're saying. It sounds to me like your proof is that you had witnesses in the car, a lot of people in the car who heard exactly what happened in there. What do you think is his proof?
President Trump is a liar, and he
yeah, we know that. But, you know, he says he has proof. Do you think he was taping the conversation? Because that would be the proof, right? Or if he has as many witnesses as you have.
Well, if he was taping the conversation, bring it on.
You know, Congresswoman, I'm very uncomfortable with all of this. I don't like the cheering of calling our president a liar. I don't like the cheering talking about a man who has given for our freedom at this point. This was a private call between a widow and the president. Why did you feel the need to speak out? And do you think at any point that she will either confirm or deny what you're saying right now?
Well, when I exited the car, because I am from Miami, my local press surrounded me. Mr. Trump had evidently told the press that he was going to call the widow. So they asked me, they said, Congresswoman Wilson, did he call the widow? I said, yes, he did. They said, did you hear the call? I said, yes, I did. They said, what did he say? And I told them what he said. And then I just told them that one line. And then that was the end of that.
But just because you asked isn't necessarily your role to answer. I mean, this is deeply private and personal. I mean, again, I don't know the context of it, and I understand that, you know,
well, let me first of all, let me tell you my relationship to him.
I have a mentoring program in Miami called the 5,000 Role Models of Excellence Project, and I mentored this young boy from a little boy in elementary school through this program all the way through high school. His brother, we mentored him and sent him to Bethune-Cookman College. The other brother is in the fire college. He's 17 years old. These are people that I have known all of my life. Since they were little children, I told you that his uncle went to my elementary school. I was his principal. So, and another thing, my purpose was not necessarily there to hear Mr. Trump's verbiage to the wife. I want to know from Mr. Trump what happened to LaDavid in Nigeria. Why was he the last one found? Why did it take 48 hours for them to discover him? Why wasn't he in a car, an armored truck? Why did he have weapons weaker than the terrorist weapons? Why were they able to surround them and kill them? This is going to be Mr. Trump's Benghazi, because I cannot get the answers. Nobody can get the answers. And until we get those answers, it is his Benghazi, and this whole thing about what he said to the widow is a cover-up.
I just want to say one thing. This is a tragedy. This young man died for our freedom,
yes,
and we should focus on that.
He died for our freedom,
yes,
and he is a hero,
yes,
and that is what my community is holding him up to be, and I would hope that the White House and the Congress and everyone else will hold him up to be a hero. He's a young man. He minded his parents. His mother died when he was 5 years old. He had to be raised by his aunt and uncle. He went to school. He was a good boy. He didn't get in trouble. He didn't go to jail. He didn't run in gangs.
Congresswoman.
And we love him, and you lift him up. He's a member of the 5,000 Role.
We got it. We got it. Congresswoman, thank you. He is a hero. And we'll let everybody know, I promise you. Thank you for talking to us, and I'm sure this is not the last we're going to hear about this. We will be right back.
Okay, you all just saw those two clips. Again, that is courtesy of CNN, false under fair use. Now, let me just get ready to dive into this. Now, you heard Congresswoman Wilson says that, and I definitely agree, that whenever a widow or a woman, or anybody for that matter, any kind of family member at all, has lost their loved one in military, that person in military has made the ultimate sacrifice, you are supposed to have some kind of tact or some kind of compassion. If she said that he just didn't have any kind of tact or any kind of compassion, and let me just say something to Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. He doesn't have any kind of tact, or he doesn't have any kind of compassion, and he doesn't have any kind of love for anybody, because can't everybody see by now that this man can simply not help it? He cannot help from being low down. He cannot help from being evil. He cannot help from not having compassion. He cannot help it for lying. This is who Donald Trump is. He cannot help from being a stupid, ignorant, fucking asshole. This is who and what he is, because a whole lot of you people, white, black, or whatever, also wanted to vote for someone like Donald Trump to put him in the White House. It's even a certain preacher. I'm not going to call his name right now, because hopefully, I could get this preacher on for an interview, because I want to ask him in the beginning, how come he wanted to support Donald Trump in the very beginning? Now, he's against him right now because of certain things that he sees or whatever, but all of us, you know, who have been awake, all of us who have been conscious, all of us who have been looking at the news and looking at the character of this man, knew exactly what would happen if he would get into the White House. trying to see all of this stuff or saw all of this stuff 10,000 light years away. But yet he and other people act like he could not see it. And you know what irritates me? What really irritates me, I was in a friend of mine's church about a month ago, and the first lady said that sometimes she doesn't understand how come people are so much down on the president and everything. We need to pray for Donald Trump, that he makes the right decisions, that he sees the light and wants to do the right things. I even heard another preacher says that I'm gonna pray, we need to all pray that he really gets saved and finds Jesus. I'm gonna pray that he dies and goes to hell. Because this is what a man like this actually deserves. That Sergeant Johnson, who did all the right things according to what this America says that you're supposed to do by staying in school, getting married, having children, going in the military, and making the ultimate sacrifice for the country where he lived and where he loved, and to be disrespected by the President of these United States. He cannot help it. This man, he's a sociopath. He's a sadist. Do you know what a sociopath is? A sociopath is someone who does, it's a mental condition. First of all, look it up in a doctor's or nurse's encyclopedia. It's a mental condition where a person who's a sociopath does not have sympathy or empathy for others. In other words, they lack the feeling, or they lack the, the being, or for lack of a better word, of being able to put themselves in another person's place. Which they said for somebody who's a sociopath, it's no cure for that. It's no cure for a sociopath. No, it's no kind of a way that he's going to do better. It's no kind of a way that he's going to find Jesus and get really saved. It's no cure for a sociopath, but to me, except for them just to die and go to hell. Like this man is going to do. This man is utterly disgusting, completely too incompetent to be the so-called president of these United States. He does not deserve the honor of being called the commander-in-chief or the leader of the free world. After this utter disrespect, well, he knew what he was getting himself into, and it's still sad that it happened. You insensitive, ugly-faced, wrinkled-up, crinkled-faced, slow, sociopathic, insensitive, little-faced, ugly little bastard you. How can you be so insensitive when this woman is crying at 24 years old and 6 months pregnant and still has children to raise, and you want to be insensitive? And yes, maybe Congresswoman Wilson should do an investigation on how come he was separated from the rest of his unit. She says that it's going to be a classified report. She's going to get to it. But, I mean, so far, this man is just utterly disgusting. Utterly disgusting. He has not done a thing politically ever since he got in the White House, except trying to dismantle every single thing President Obama has ever done. And this man is going to bring us into war with North Korea. Getting up on national TV and calling world leaders names, calling Kim Jong-un little rocket man, calling football players who want to take a knee instead of saluting the flag sons of bitches. This man gets up and does and says anything that just damn well comes to his mind. Completely somebody who's not presidential, someone who's not political, someone who lacks the mind, the body, the spirit, and the soul, or the intelligence, most of all, for that matter, to be president of these United States. This man is utterly disgusting for what he did. So at this point, that's where I'm going to leave it. The only thing I could say is that me and all of us here at Roosevelt Sounds Off are, or especially mine, condolences and prayers do go out to his widow, Maisha Johnson, because that's another thing. He didn't even know her name or know his name. Stupid. We're praying for the family, praying for those children. Hopefully, God will see her through during this time of grief and sorrow. Because, I mean, this thing is so bad, and she feels so distraught because you heard it in the clip that she cannot even give him an open casket funeral because his body was that destroyed, much destroyed, and that tore up. And all of this war going on in the world, all of these countries and stuff like Niger and Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, all these kind of places, and all of this war and carnage and death and destruction, what are we fighting all these wars for? Why are we in other countries in their business when we got more than enough business over here for us to deal with? Going and fighting into a war and then dying, and for what? That's something I don't get. After this man gave the ultimate sacrifice and to be disrespected by the President of the United States after he did, according to American society, I'm not there trying to say American society is right, you devil, you don't get that in your mind, because it ain't. Because we got a whole bunch of stupid sayings and stupid traditions within this country that really need a fixing. And for him to make the ultimate sacrifice, and it was wrong, completely dead ass wrong, for the President of the United States to disrespect his memory and disrespect the widow like he did in saying whatever it is he said because of his stupid, ignorant, pompous, insensitive ass. So that's exactly where I'm going to leave it. I want to say one thing, that in my mind, LaDavid Johnson, he also was a hero. He made the ultimate sacrifice in serving this country. That's where I'm going to leave it. Everybody like and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to share this video. And hope to see everybody on the next one. Peace and blessings to all.